Are rap and drill music part of America's racial problem? This is the argument being made by Juan Williams at FoxNews.com, and I want to share this article with you. Now, when I read this, I looked at this more from the lens of somebody who writes music in his spare time, runs a YouTube channel. I talk about it on this channel all the time, preserving our history and culture as Americans, bringing to light music by lesser-known composers, celebrating great art and great music. I believe we should preserve that. So welcome to this thing called the Culture Confederacy. If you're new, if you've been with me for a while, thank you for supporting this thing we call the Culture Confederacy. And I appreciate all the comments I'm getting on my videos recently. Gives me incentive to keep putting these videos out there. Because apparently I'm reaching somebody, and that's the great thing about the series. I don't know who I'm reaching, but I'm reaching you somewhere, and the message is getting out there. So thanks again for supporting this thing we call the Culture Confederacy. And don't forget to click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at hashtag JasonComposes, leave comments below. Now you can reach me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy Twitter, all that fun stuff. I'll say it at the end of the video. But I want to talk about this because I don't necessarily think what's going on with the current state of rap music or the genre called drill music. Now, drill music came about, or got its name, from gangs going after the rivals. Basically, gunning people down, drilling them down with bullets. That's how they came up with the name drill music. But I don't necessarily think that the current state of rap or drill music, or what's going on in the inner city, is due necessarily to this type of music, or whatever social ills are happening at the time. I think it's more due to this little movement that happened at the turn of the last century, called modernism. And what did modernism teach us? There is no God. We must embrace chaos. The more profane, the better. The most degenerate should be raised up, and the past should be tossed aside. Replace the beautiful with the ugly, and raise that as the highest standard. So is it any wonder why rap music is where it is today? Why it contains all these lyrics? But let me read you the article here, once again by Juan Williams. Rap and drill music is part of America's racial problem. There are real-world consequences coming from these celebrations of black-on-black violence. He says here, years ago, a rap music fan described me as, quote, hip-hop scold of the highest order. My sin against the music was calling out rap artists for their constant use of the N-word, casually insulting women as blanks, and denigrating gays by using the F-word. Once again, going back to modernism. The most profane, the ugliest, must be raised up. The most beautiful must be tossed aside. I said the language was damaging to black culture, especially young people. I even went on Oprah Winfrey's show to call out rappers for their racially profane, violent songs. Also appearing on the show was the rapper Ice-T, who rose to hip-hop fame with explicit lyrics. Now, I remember the controversy over Two Live Crew. This was back in 1989, 1990. Their album Nasty As They Wanna Be. And 2 years later, they won in that court case. It was a case about free speech. He dismissed my criticism of rap lyrics even when it depicted outright sexual abuse. I'm not going to mention what he says here. Ice-T must have won the argument because rap music has continued to grow. It's now the #1 music genre in America. It sells to young people globally, black, white, Latino, and Asian, but the bulk of the audience is mostly young. White males attracted by adrenaline-pumping fantasy domination of women and fearless embrace of gangster rap with violent young men boasting about gunning down rivals. Now, gangster rap has grown even more deadly, evolving into drill music. Yes, that is drill as in drilling people with gunfire. And make no mistake, the person doing the drilling is a young black man firing at another young black man. Well, why is this? Because unfortunately, this is the only type of music that these people have been exposed to in these communities. This is the only type of lifestyle that they think exists. They don't know that, for example, in 1847, a little-known composer by the name of August Walter, last name W-A-L-T-E-R, in German the W is pronounced like a V, that this little-known composer, or now-forgotten composer, August Walter, 1847 premiered a symphony that caused a huge sensation throughout Europe. It was premiered by the Vienna Philharmonic. And I've got to give a shout out to a guy here on YouTube named Martin Walsh, who uses Sibelius or Note Performer, some of these music programs, to bring these scores, which he shows on his channel, bring these scores to life. You get to hear the orchestration. So you can watch the score as you're listening to the piece of music. You see how it all plays out. I think, wow, this is really cool. This music is awesome. Why isn't a piece like this symphony by August Walter making it to the top 10 spot? I mean, seriously, who decides what goes out on the airwaves? Who are the gatekeepers of that? How do we know for sure that hip-hop is the most popular, or rap music, is the most popular music genre out there? How many people live in this country? Some 320 some odd million? So people have different interests. And I understand when it comes to the record industry, comes to the broadcast industry, it's all about the bottom dollar. The bottom line. I meant to say it's all about the dollar, the bottom line. That's what I meant to say. And I sympathize with that because I have a day job. We want to get as much revenue as we can, bring as many people as we can into our establishment, establish a rapport with the community as a business. But there is room for everybody in the recording and broadcast industry. And yes, you can have a successful jazz or commercial jazz or classical music station. That is possible. But somehow these people in the recording industry, the broadcast industry, have no originality. Look at the current spike in murder nationally, going back to the article here. That trend is often discussed as a threat to everyone, but that is shameful avoidance of the reality that most of the bloodshed is among young black men and in black communities. And why did these communities get like this? I've asked that question many times on the channel. I've said, there is no excuse for any neighborhood in the greatest country in the world, the United States, to look like a third world country or a war zone. There is no excuse for that. People need to get off their asses and clean out their community. Get rid of the riffraff. Build a place where people can go and learn about great music, great art. More community involvement. Instead of sitting there talking about how you're going to be a gangsta, going on YouTube or wherever, posing with the gun, why don't you pick up a hammer and some nails? Do some good in your community. Be a positive influence. Teach the youth how to play football or basketball or soccer or whatever the sport is. Be a good role model for the future generation, for the people who are coming behind you. After a spat of shootings in New York, Mayor Eric Adams made the connection between drill music and young black men murdering each other. He said, it is, quote, alarming to see the popularity of the genre. We pulled Trump off Twitter, he said, yet we are allowing music displaying of guns, violence. We're allowing it to stay on these sites. Adams said he plans to convene social media firms and tells them that you have a civic and corporate responsibility. The mayor met with some drill rappers on Tuesday. But for now, the staccato gunfire beat that defines drill music as a subset of hip-hop grows louder and more influential. It's not just the music. These days, there are music videos to go with it. On the internet, for example, there is a steady stream of websites, even YouTube updates about violence in Chicago's black neighborhoods, equating violence there with war zones in Iraq. There is Chirac News, Chirac Central, and Warren Chirac, which is run by a guy in New Jersey, and according to a recent book, had 250,000 subscribers and 94 million views in its first 2 years. Well, I think people are more attracted to the psychology of it all, why people do what they do in these communities. Obviously, the market for this music goes way beyond the desperate poor black people doing the shooting. The music and its videos give privileged consumers intimate yet safe opportunities to interact with the ghetto and its stereotypical residents to satisfy voyeuristic desires, wrote sociologist Forrest Stewart in his 2020 book, Ballad of the Bullet, Gangs, Drill Music, and the Power of Online Infamy. Well, I somewhat disagree with this. I think it's because people want to be included. They want to be cool, part of the in crowd. You want to be a part of the in crowd? Just be yourself. I'll say it again. You want to be part of the in crowd? Just be yourself. I don't want to follow the crowd. I'm sorry. I like being who I am. I will crank whatever piece of music I listen to by some great composer or lesser known composer any time of day, because that music makes me feel good. And so what if the neighbors don't like it? They were writing great music like that before most of these people were born. I also love great jazz, and I'll go as far as somebody like Wide Mouth Mason. But coming full circle here, it all goes back to modernism. It all goes back to this idea that we have to raise up the most profane, the most degenerate. That's why you have an issue today with rap music. That's why you're having these problems in the inner city. It's not just limited to people living in the inner city. You deal with this in the white community or whatever the community is. You see this on television all the time with these TV shows, with movies, with Hollywood. Whatever happened to great art, great music? Being proud of that. Yeah, it takes a little bit longer to produce it. But the reward, there's nothing that can match it. So one last paragraph here before I end. Stewart's ethnography, it is an in-depth look at drill music's impact on one violent Chicago neighborhood. He finds black boys with limited job prospects dreaming of a record contract as they play to the white appetite for drill music, by offering the voyeurs a thrilling view into life among authentic black people, which means black people as savagely violent, or pardon me, as they view people, black people, as savagely violent. And that's wrong. We should not be viewing anybody that way. We should be treating each other with respect. We should be building these communities up, not tearing them down. We should not be having an art form that perpetuates a particular type of lifestyle that is destructive to a particular community, because nobody benefits when you do that. So I thought I'd share this article with you once again by Juan Williams, FoxNews.com. Title of the article again, Rap and Drill Music is Part of America's Racial Problem, but I posed it more as a question at the beginning of the video, because as I said, I see this more from the perspective of someone who writes music in his spare time, who runs this YouTube channel, who believes in preserving great art and great music. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying an awesome symphony. There's nothing wrong with that being one of the number one pieces on the Billboard chart at the moment. Why can't we have it? Let's have our cake and eat it too. What do you say? So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at hashtag Jason Composes. Leave comments below. Now you can reach me at Twitter, Cultural Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Cultural Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this great country, and I'll catch you next time.